Welcome to the Toxic Tavern. Please give me a follow. Give comments to the shit. I'd love to see what people's answers. This is sex offender murder hobo threatens DM after getting kicked from RPG Horror Stories Engineering. So I played D&D with a group of guys at our local game store. The DM, solid guy. He's running a game with a Planga vibe. I roll up a halfling rogue, my oldest friend a drow barbarian, and that guy a goblin wizard. He also had a few other players kind of come and go periodically. So we had already made it through the intro, and everything we had made it through quite a few towns and dungeons, and already we had all kinds of settled in our in and out of game personalities. My rogue becomes sort of a bleeding heart of the group. My friend's bard becomes the more stoic, jaded one, and then there was Goblin Wizard, who was kind of loud and self-important out of game and in game. He had a kill first and ask questions later mentality. For example, we encountered a lord who was obviously hoarding gold that he owed in taxes to the emperor. So the Goblin Wizard murdered him and looted the castle, and this was by no means a one-time thing with him. Me and my friend's characters have even restrained his wizard and threatened to kill him before to no avail. But none of this would be a major issue if it weren't for what happened next. See, DM introduced this blacksmith's daughter. DM describes her as extremely attractive and had many wealthy suitors despite her low status in society. This must have lit a switch in Goblin Wizard's brains from kill to seduce. So we went for it, tried seducing her multiple times. He would tell her how beautiful she was, tell her that goblins have huge penises, etc. All his seduction rolls failed, and she eventually told him to fuck off. Then at night, Goblin Wizard snuck off. Initially out the game, we thought he was going to go and rob the rich people like he usually does at night. But this time, he snuck off to the blacksmith's shack in the woods and killed him in his sleep. He then stole his collection of swords and then found his daughter still asleep. DM had her wake up and pull out a magic stone to call the guards. DM then said, if you run now, you can probably avoid that. And then the Goblin Wizard player said, I panic and cast Charm Person before she can call the guards. He succeeded his DC, as I could see the DM getting increasingly nervous and even saying, okay, she's charmed, but the guards still know your position, so... And he cut the DM off again and said, I whip out my schlong and fuck her face, vag and anus, and then I stuff her in a bag and run away. DM was now shaking with nerves and tried to say, before you're able to do Wyvern breaks into the shack and Goblin Wizard cuts him off again and says, a random wyvern? Really? My friend then said, well, can you blame him for trying to stop you sexually abusing a blacksmith girl? And then the Goblin Wizard says, oh, chill out. I cast Charm Person on her, so she probably enjoyed it anyway. DM then said, okay, that's really gross. Can we get back to the real D&D? Let's just wreck on that whole sequence. You steal the swords and flee the shack. And then Goblin Wizard starts getting mad at the DM for overreacting and railroading me. And he said, it's not even that big a deal anyway. It's basically like when you get a bitch lick it up really good and she'll do anything. DM then just said, alright, I think we've heard enough. Let's call it. After the session, me and my friends texted the DM telling we wouldn't be playing with this guy anymore. And the DM agreed and said he wishes he was more on top of things. But this guy caught him off guard with what he was saying. DM then texted him telling him he was no longer welcome at our table and that what he said was disgusting, especially his real life justification. He then got furious and blew up the DM's phone with angry messages including death threats. He literally said at one point, people like you forget that back in the day, shit like what you pulled would get you shot. DM eventually blocked him and we went on without him. Lord Reefer? And while I think on average arsehole that does these things is nothing but physically harmless little ball of anger, the she would have probably enjoyed it line sold me on this guy being a future rapist, if not already a current day rapist. Simba told? It's not even that big a deal anyway. It's basically like when you get a bitch lick it up real good and she'll do anything. That's fucked. Karl Marky Marx. The DM should have just said he triggered a glyph that animated every weapon in the shop and blended him into a fine paste. That's a fucking great idea. I'm glad he found the stones to ban him in the end, but shouldn't have gotten that far. This guy sounds like he needs to be in prison. Fucking too right.